Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT Network. This is a show that is everything Broncos and brought to you with emotion, passion, honesty, and of course, my comments. I am your host, Bronco Bill. All right, guys. Let's get right into this. And it's not going to be fun to talk about last week's game for a couple of reasons. Well, first and foremost, because we lost, but more importantly, because how we lost. I mean, it's one thing to lose, 28-3 or 35-10 and get blown out from the get-go. That's not what happened here. What happened here was the Broncos actually got off to a 21-3 lead. And in fact, they ran off 3 scoring drives back to back to make it 21-3. And then the roof caved in. I know the Broncos don't have a dome in their stadium, but literally and figuratively, the roof caved in. Russell Wilson rolls out to his left. He's outside the pocket. He's got 2 or 3 guys pursuing him. And does he throw the ball away and save the down and the lost yardage? Nope. You know what he does? He takes a hit. And yes, it was a face mask that never was called. And I'll get into a lot of what I don't like about the NFL refereeing, and I'll get into that. He didn't throw it out of bounds. He took a sack. That's true. But he also fumbled the ball. Washington gets the ball at midfield, drives right down the field, and now it's 21-10. Russell Wilson throws an interception. Controversial again. I'll get into the referees in a little bit at the end of this segment. And what happens is Washington goes down and gets another score. Now Denver is in trouble because Washington has a momentum. Well, it comes down to the fourth quarter. It actually comes down to the last few seconds of the fourth quarter. And the Broncos are trailing 35-27. Okay? 35-27. And Russell Wilson throws a Hail Mary pass from like the 50-yard line. It hits a receiver or defender, I couldn't see, they're kind of blocked off, hit their helmet, bounced up into the air, touched by 2 or 3 different players, and then lands in Johnson's hands for the touchdown for the Denver Broncos. Now it's 35-33. So Denver goes for 2-point conversion. And here's where my problem starts. Okay? Hang on a second. They go for a 2-point conversion. On the left side, left end is Cortland Sutton. He goes up the field, cuts directly across the middle of the end zone. The pass by Wilson is perfectly thrown, but the defender pulls his shoulder like this. It just pulls his shoulder, and his other arm is wrapped around his back. So there's nobody, absolutely nobody in the entire stadium could say that was illegal play. Nobody could say that except one. The referee, who was standing right there, didn't throw the flag. And you could see another receiver for the Broncos going, throw the flag. They didn't throw the flag. The referees blew that 2-point conversion chance. That should have been a penalty. The ball should have been placed at the 1, and then we can run a quarterback sneak or a halfback, fullback, whatever you want to do to get that 2-point to force it in overtime. Referee turned a blind eye. In my opinion, he turned a blind eye. Here's what I love to see. Okay? In the last 2 minutes of a half, and the last 2 minutes towards the end of the game, there's a thing called a booth review. When there's a controversial play on the field and, referee doesn't call it this way or that way, or maybe he does call it this way or that way, up in the booth, they buzz down to the referee and they say, hey, we're going to take a look at this. Call timeout, ref timeout. We're going to take a look at this. And they look at it. And then they say, okay, you know what? You threw the flag, but his feet were in bounds, or not through the flag. Said it was incomplete, but his feet were in bounds, and it's a catch. So they go ahead and award it to him. Why can't they do that in critical game-altering situations when it comes to penalties? Why can't they? Absolutely they can, but they choose not to. And I don't know why. Isn't it the object of the game to get it correct? That's what they're doing in baseball. They're making it more and more, i.e., if you want to talk about it, intellectual or AI, artificial intelligence. I don't care. Get it freaking right. Get it right. If the name of the game, these guys' livelihoods depend on getting it right. Their careers depending on getting it right. And when you have human error involved by a referee who's supposed to, quote, get it right and can't, how is that the betterment for the game? Oh, wait a minute. It might be the betterment for sports betting. After all, the NFL has got their hands right in the cookie jar of sports betting. Absolutely, they do. They endorse sports kings or the other kings or with the other queens. I don't know what they are. I don't do it, and I don't bet, and I don't care to. But they do. And their hands are in that proverbial cookie jar of betting. Oh, but players can't bet. Seems like the NFL talk about a monopoly, talk about a stranglehold. I mean, I understand you don't want players betting on their games where they could throw it. I get that. But why can't, an NFL player bet on a horse race, if he's in the facility? What does it matter? I know, guys, I'm going down that proverbial rabbit hole. But the point I'm trying to make is this. If there's a controversial call in the end zone that could swing a game or change an outcome, let the outcome happen with the 22 players on the field, not the one person called a referee. He should not make the final choice, the final decision. That should be up to the players. And that was an absolutely blatant holding, pass interference, whatever you want to call it. It happened. And the referee went, I don't see it. Must be nice to have the Washington Commanders bring in their own referees. I mean, seriously, how do you even justify? I mean, if there's a booth review, the guy upstairs can say, "Hey, click, go ahead and call a referee timeout. We're going to give it a good minute and a half or so to look over this. I think that might be a penalty. If it is, great. But Broncos have the ball in the 1. If it's not, then it's not." But it was. Go back and look at the freaking film. It was a blatant turning of Courtland Sutton in the end zone on the two-point conversion. Never was called. Should have been called. Pathetic, pathetic, pathetic. All right, let's move on. I could go on that for the whole show, but I'm not going to. All right. Russell Wilson. Even though the Broncos are 0-2, Russell Wilson is arguably been the best quarterback in the entire NFL. What? The best quarterback in the entire NFL? Oh, in the first half. NFL plays 4 quarters, buddy. Hey, Russell, NFL plays 4 quarters, okay? But let me give you his first half issues, okay? Here, not issues, but accomplishments. He has the following: 85% completion rate, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 149.3 passer rating, and a 97 quarterback rating, period. That's phenomenal. But the problem is he can't sustain it for the next 2 quarters. Once he goes into halftime, it just seems like, oh, that stuff just falls off. I don't understand it. I don't understand it one bit why he can't keep producing, except what I saw last week. And I saw it big time last week. The Washington Commanders at halftime made adjustments. The Denver Broncos did not. And that was the difference. And that's why Russell Wilson's first half stats are through the roof, because the other team can't make the adjustments on the fly. That's the only reason. They go into halftime, spend 15, 20 minutes in there making adjustments. Broncos don't. Boom, loss. But that being said, if Russell Wilson and Sean Payton can get this thing fixed, so that he can keep these same productions in the second half, then the Broncos go on an extremely long winning streak. Absolutely. I don't know what what's going to transpire in the second half of these games. I really don't. And that bothers me. Because we look great in the first half. Can't do anything to say it. We scored 21 points in the first half. And I know we ended up with 33 at the end of the game. So let's see, 21, 31. So we got 12. Yeah, we got 12 points in the second half. It's not gonna make it work. Not when you're trailing, and that Hail Mary pass, it could have been a lot worse than that. All right. Welcome in the chat, Christopher Earl Asher. Nice to have you. Thanks so much for being in here. Ding, ding. Let's go Broncos. Absolutely. Totally agree. I don't know how we're going to beat Miami, and I'll get into that. Christopher Earl Asher also says, from what I heard, Payton is giving Wilson a short leash on this next game. Yep. Like I said, I'll get into that. And thank you so much for bringing it up, because it is definitely going to be a topic towards the end of the show. So stick around, Christopher. I really appreciate it. All right. This is alarming. Given a Sean Payton run team. The NFL's power rankings are out, and Denver is listed as the fifth worst. Fifth worst. Really? Fifth worst. I know we're 0-2, but there's other 0-2 teams. Are we really the fifth worst? Okay, hang on. The Dolphins are, oh boy. That's the team we play this coming Sunday. The Dolphins are ranked sixth worst? No. Not with a 2-0 record. The Dolphins are ranked sixth best. The rest of the division stacks up like this. Kansas City ranked fourth. Chargers 21st. Raiders 27th. That's right. Denver's fifth worst. That means they're tied at 27. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. But because we lost to the Raiders in the opening week, we are ranked worst in the division. Worst in the division. Again. We end up last year. Nothing has changed under Sean Payton. And I understand it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 games to get it going. But what's our record going to be in the fifth game of the season? 0-5? Could be. Absolutely could be. We got, hang on a second. I'll tell you, I know who we got. We got Miami at Miami, Chicago at Chicago, and then what I call the controversial game, the Jets at Denver. Do you guys think that we really could not be 0-5? Absolutely, we could be 0-5, without a doubt. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being honest. I say it at the beginning of my show. I bring you truth, honesty. I mean, facts. That's what I do. I don't make this stuff up. If I did, it wouldn't be worth watching, guys. It really wouldn't be worth watching if I made this stuff up, and I don't. Okay? I'm bringing you legit stuff. Things I get off the internet, things that I do research on. It's absolutely truthful. And so is 0-2. And so is the fact that the Broncos are fifth worst in the NFL, according to the stats. Are we really the worst 0-2 team? I don't think so. I mean, we've lost by what? 3 points combined in the 2 games? 17, 16, 35, 33? Yeah, we could have easily won both of them. We could easily be 2-0, but we're not. But we are we really that bad as an 0-2 team? I don't think so. I don't think so. But we're going to have to make a statement in Miami. If we really want to turn things around before we head to Chicago, do we want to be 0-3 going to Chicago and make a statement? Or do we make a statement now against a 2-0 team? I say we make a statement now against a 2-0 Dolphins team. Do I think the Dolphins are legit? Absolutely. Do I think Tua is legit? Possibly. Possibly. But I'll tell you what, that Tyreek Hill is. He proved it in Cincinnati, or excuse me, in Kansas City when we couldn't control him. Now we got to deal with him again in Miami. Holy smokes! I mean, it's gonna be a slugfest, guys. I'm hoping it's a close game. I just don't know. I just don't know what Bronco team we're gonna see. Are we gonna see the Bronco team that came back, or excuse me, that went out to a 21-3 lead against Washington and then folded? Or are we going to see a Bronco team that went out ahead 21-3 against Washington and then came back in the storm? We can't have these penalties, guys. I'm going to get into that. All right, here we go. Can the Broncos bounce back? That is the topic of the show. Topic of the show is the Broncos offense is getting better. Can the Broncos bounce back? Well, here we go. Let's find out. All right, before we get into that, let's go to this. Christopher Earl Ashley says William isn't really healthy 100%. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got dings and stuff like that. I get that, Christopher. I get that, but we need Williams. But I also like McLaughlin. I like McLaughlin a lot. Pyrene, I like him too. So if Williams can't make it a go, 100%, and he has to kind of take some snaps off, then I'd rather have that than for him to get re-injured again, if that ever would happen. Oh, heaven forbid. Okay, so Christopher also says, right now I'm thinking 0-3 even before the game starts. I know. I am too. I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death of this game because of how good Miami's defense is. Their front line is insane. They just smothered the quarterback, and actually they just blanket the receivers too. So it's going to take an ingenious game plan by Sean Payton to get receivers open. This game really does scare me. It really, really does. And I'm not just saying that because the Broncos got off to an 0-2 start. I had the Broncos going 2-0 out the gate, but losing this game because of the way the Dolphins are and their strengths. This game could get ugly. It could get ugly, and I'm just hoping that doesn't happen. Okay, so Christopher Earl Ashley brought up a point that I'm going to touch on too. Hoping Browning is back. I hope he is too. But seeing Justin Simmons not playing will hurt. Yes, I will talk about Justin Simmons and his injury. That one hurts big time. Justin Simmons in an absolute shutdown corner or safety, and it's just scary. Just scary to know that we don't have him back there, especially going against a Dolphins team that's explosive. I already mentioned Tyreek Hill, and there's no need to mention him again because we're all going to see him come Sunday morning. I hope we can shut him down. I just don't know who's going to shut him down now. I mean, Patrick Surtain will, but Justin Simmons was always there to be over the top and help out, so I don't know. Hey, user JK3FC6GL2. That's all. Last time I'm going to say it that long. I'm just going to say user JK. Welcome in the house. Welcome in the chat. Glad to have you. Glad to have you be here. 0-3 going onto the dumpster fire in Chicago. Ooh. User JK. That's a gut punch, dude. That's a gut punch. I am not ready to throw in the towel. I'm really not. And I never do. Even if we were to go 0-8, I'm not going to throw in the towel. This is my team. I don't want them to lose. Everybody says, throw in the towel, throw games, just fight to get the number one pick and just, tank it for this and take it for that. No, I'm a true fan. I want to see my freaking team win. I don't want to see them lose. That's not what I want. I don't want to come in here week in and week out and say, oh, yeah, we just lost another close game. And, well, it looks like we're throwing the towel. I don't want that. I don't want that. That's not what this guy does. This is not what my passion's about. My passion's about winning. We've only lost 2. Okay? I mean, who's to say miracles can happen? I'm not saying it's going to happen with this team, but I don't want to see us just tank it for whatever. I don't want that. That's not good for the organization. It's not good for the fan base. Fan base, turning a blind eye, the team and just going, okay, well, you know what? I'll just sell my tickets to Joe Blow down the street. And if he's a Raider fan or a Charger fan or Kansas State fan, I don't care. I do not want to see enemy fans in the stands. I don't. This is called Mile High. Excuse me. In Power Field at Mile High. This is Broncos country. This isn't any other team's country. This is Broncos country, period. We only have one NFL team in the state of Colorado for a reason, because we don't share with anybody. Okay? We don't share our seats. We don't share anything in regards to the Broncos when it comes to other fans showing up. Do they show up? Yes. Some do, few and far between. Let's keep the majority of them out. So support the Broncos. I don't care what their record is. If you're a true Broncos fan, you bleed orange or blue. You do not turn your back on them. Would you turn your back on your kids? If you didn't like what they're doing, would you kick them out? Would you say, I'm not supporting you? Would you? Well, if you do, then you're a bad parent. Period. You don't turn your back on your kids. You don't turn your back on the team that you say you're a fan of. Period. I'm not saying you got to go out and spend money and buy jerseys and stuff, but if you have season tickets, show up. Show up. Okay? Because guess what? They're still got your money. You're the one that looks embarrassed and stupid when it comes to me watching the games going, oh, sold out. But 28,000 didn't show up. And I'm like, well, those people are idiots because they lost their money and didn't even get a game. Why do you do that? So don't do it, okay? Don't do it. Support the team. I don't care what record it is. I watched every single Broncos game last 6 years. You know why? Because 2016 was that good. And I'll support my team. If they're going down, I'm going down with them. I do the neighborhood on MHRT Network. Every Broncos game with Mudungus Creevy. And they've lost the last 2. But guess what? I've been there. And I'm going to be there coming this Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Absolutely. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just saying support the team. Okay? Support the team. Speaking of supporting the team, I'm wearing my Cubs jersey because they won today. They need to stay in the playoff hunt. And if you notice, I got the 2016 banner back down. That will be replaced. Don't worry, guys. It doesn't stay up there forever. That will be replaced with a Broncos Super Bowl 50 flag hanging up there once the Cubs season's over. If they continue to be in the playoffs, that'll continue to be up there. All right, and that's how that works. And then once the Broncos season rolls in their, to an end, I put the Avalanche one up there, the Avalanche flag. So all 3 of my favorite teams will be represented. That's why I'm wearing this Cubs jersey. But I do have the Bronco hat on. Yes, there are 2 colors of blue. The darker one is for the Broncos. The lighter one, obviously, is the Cubs jersey. Okay, let's move on. Going to get into this. With the Broncos sitting at 0-2, heading into Miami, can they bounce back and win the game? That's the first question. Can they bounce back and win the game? Hold on. Sean Payton is tapping into the minds of some players that played under Vic Fangio when he was the Broncos head coach. Why? Because Fangio is now the Dolphins defensive coordinator. Okay. So can the Broncos bounce back from 0-2 and beat the Miami Dolphins? Well, in my opinion, it's going to be tough. And I'll tell you why it's going to be tough for various reasons. I'll get into that various reasons when I talk about can the Broncos win this game. But going back to the first question is can the Broncos bounce back? Can the Broncos bounce back? Absolutely, they can. Sure, they can. Are they going to have a successful game? Well, that all depends if they can play 4 quarters. They haven't proved in the first 2 games that they can play 4 quarters. So I'm not sure. Is that a Russell Wilson issue? Possibly. Is it a Sean Payton issue? Most likely. But I'll get into that too. The whole Russell Wilson, Sean Payton chemistry doesn't seem to be clicking on all 4s. Doesn't seem to be clicking in 2 of the 4s. Why? Because Sean Payton does his game planning and play calling a certain way in dialect and all that. I'll get into that, like I mentioned. And Russell Wilson does it his own way. So there is a butting of heads there. Can it work? Yes, it can work. One of them has to change. And I'm going to get into that because I think it's going to be Sean Payton is the one that's going to have to change. He's going to have to. He's a head coach. There's no other way about it. You can't ask Russell Wilson to change midstream and all he knows is one direction. So Sean Payton's the one that's going to have to change. And I think he will. All right. Hey. All right. Hey, Pablo Ramos. Hey, nice to have you in the house, man. Nice to have you in the chat. He says, hi, Bill. How are you, my man? I'm doing great, man. You're doing great, Pablo. I hope you're doing well or doing good as well. I haven't seen you in a while and really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. Okay, Christopher says exactly what I was saying earlier. Christopher Earl actually says 16-0 or 0-16. I'm a Broncos fan for life. There you go, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You need to be there. Not just you, Christopher, but you as Broncos country needs to be there. The support needs to be there. You don't turn your back just because they're not winning. Okay? You don't turn your back. That's not what true fans do. True fans are there thick and thin. All right. Let's go to another incident, another injury. This one hurts badly. It was brought up earlier by Christopher Earl Ashley, and here it is. Justin Simmons will not be available in the game at Miami. According to Sean Payton, Simmons is dealing with an apparent hip issue. He hasn't practiced all week, and Simmons had a growing injury earlier before the season began. So this just adds to an all-growing injury list. That one hurts. That one hurts. And I remember the play. He was going to tackle the guy. He threw his hip into the guy's thigh or knee, or even maybe his hip. I think it was his knee. And it caught him like right in this area right here. And you got a bone right there, man, a hip bone. And it's going to sting. It's going to hurt. It's going to bruise. And if you can't move, not you personally, but if Justin Simmons can't move like he normally wants to without feeling any pain or moving, going, oh, and then kind of hesitating, that's not going to be good for the game. But to have Justin Simmons out absolutely hurts because we don't have Caden Stearns. We don't have Caden Stearns. And now we don't have Justin Simmons. This defense is getting depleted week after week after week. And I don't see an end in sight. And with Vic Fangio's pathetic defensive play calling, I don't see it getting any better. And yes, I am not in favor of having a Vance Joseph as our defensive coordinator. Sean Payton wanted Rex Ryan, but Rex Ryan decided to stay off the sidelines and in the commentary booth or, pregame or whatever, and chose not to join Sean Payton as a Denver Broncos defensive coordinator. That would have been fantastic. He also chimed in and wanted to get Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio turned it down. He even threw out the olive branch, so to speak, and said, "Hey, let's let bygones be bygones, whatever issues they had." And Fangio said, "No, I'm not going to go back to that situation." So he went to Miami, and guess who he faced on Sunday? That's right, Vic Fangio's defense against the Broncos offense, which he knows extremely well. Does he know what Sean Payton's going to do? Of course not. He's going to figure it out. You're not stupid. Vic Fangio is a great defensive-minded coordinator. I wanted him. I did not want Vance Joseph. I didn't want anything to do with Vance Joseph. He was a horrible head coach, and he's a horrible defensive coordinator. You don't tell your defense to go into zone coverage on a 3rd and 4. Why? Because the zone is going to give you a gap like this, okay? All you got to do is throw it right over. You do that when it's like 3rd and 9. Why? Because the gap is here. If they throw it underneath, great. These guys can come up and actually make it a shorter gap. But you don't do it like on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5. That's what Joseph does. Joseph loves zone defense. Zone doesn't win you games. Man to man does. And I know I've heard from many people say, "Well, you'll blow out your coverage man to man. They'll get exhausted and then they got to be replaced." Okay, well, that's why you got backups. You got backups to be able to do what you do. Maybe not at this level. Maybe right here at this level. It's still maybe better than zone. I guarantee it'll be better in zone. Zone sucks. So does prevent defense. Zone allows the receivers to get open. Prevent defense allows the team that's trying to prevent a score to lose. That's all it does. That's all it does. And yeah, am I getting frustrated about this team? Absolutely, because I do not like Vance Joseph. I don't trust his defense. I trust the defense. I don't trust the defensive coordinator to call the right defensive scheme. I don't. We have 0 pass rush. We have I think maybe 1 or 2 sacks in 2 games. That's pathetic. We giving up big plays left and right. Our penalties are astronomical. I'm getting to that too. We have issues, guys. We have major issues. Big time issues. And I don't know if we can correct them heading into Miami, because that's going to be a very, very tough place to play. All right. Pablo Ramos says, "How's the weather there?" Weather here, man, I believe it's tomorrow or Saturday is the first day of fall. And we have not had a real summer-like weather in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I went out to work today. I work at a golf course. I'm retired, but I work at a golf course part-time. And I went out there this morning to get in my car, and I swore up and down it looked like it rained. My car was soaking wet. It's just the dew. It's the heavy dew. I don't get it. The weather in Southern California since January has been really crazy. We had winter for the entire months of winter and the entire months of spring. We didn't have a spring. We had a couple of days that seemed like spring, but the rest were like winter. It was either raining, cloudy, gloomy, drizzly, ugly. Yeah. And then we went into summer and we had temperatures of 104, 103, 99, 98, 101. Yeah, it was extreme. And the humid, oh my gosh, humid for Southern California is unheard of. We had humidity. We had high temperatures. Also, crashed back down. Now we're in the 70s. Temperature right now, I believe, is, I'll tell you right now, just to give you an idea, because you asked. Okay, hang on. Temperature right now is 68 degrees. 60, I don't know if you can see that. 68 degrees. See that? 68 degrees in Southern California. And yeah, I know it's 535, but shoot, a month or so ago at 535, we're still like 94, 93. Do I like 68 degree weather? No, because it's supposed to still be summer. And if it's not summer, it can be fall. Fall's in Southern California is still in the 70s. So I know, crazy weather. But thanks for asking there, Pablo. Thanks for asking. All right. Sean Payton's play verbiage is apparently much more than Russell Wilson can handle. In the huddle to get the play off in a reasonable time, Wilson struggles. Therefore, Sean Payton is considering simplifying the plays. He, Payton, also said, and I quote, "If we have to wristband Russell Wilson, we will," end quote. What that means is if they have to diagnose or simplify the plays, put him on his wrist, like on a wristband right here where he flips the pages or whatever, and then can get the play in, that's what they're going to have to do. Well, you know what? They did that with Hackett. And I don't want to compare Hackett to Sean Payton because Hackett's a joke as a head coach. But they had to do that with Russell Wilson. And apparently it looks like they're going to do that with Sean Payton going into the game against Miami. Why? Because Russell Wilson's not getting it. He's not getting the verbiage. Now, if you've ever seen Sean Payton's play sheets, I mean, they're like this tall and they're double-sided. He's got like, I don't know, just colors all over the place for what we do here and what we do there and this, that, and the other thing. But the bottom line is if Russell Wilson's not getting it up here, it's no good. It's no benefit. And the problem of it is the play comes in and Russell was in the huddles trying to remember what it was and saying what it was. Then they get to the line and they only got like 5 or 6 seconds to get everybody set. Well, that's not enough time. So Sean Payton has to call timeouts. Well, you're burning your timeouts needlessly. That happened last year under Hackett. So my thought is this. Is it really a Hackett problem? Sure it was. Hackett sucks. So, yes, it was a Hackett problem. But is it a Sean Payton problem? I say no. It is a Russell Wilson problem because he's not getting it up here. Russell Wilson is not a Peyton Manning. He doesn't grasp the fact that he can take the play calls that are coming in, dissect them, spit them out to his teammates, and get to the line in a reasonable amount of time, get everybody set up, look at the defense, and then execute the play or audible. Peyton Manning was great at that. Peyton Manning would come up to the line. He would change everything which way because he got it up here. Sean Payton doesn't get it up here. Russell Wilson doesn't get it up here. Sean Payton does. Russell Wilson doesn't. So I'm trying to think. I talked to a guy today at the golf course. He's a Broncos fan, but he's a Seahawk fan, but he likes Russell Wilson. He said that his thought process was this. If Russell Wilson, being in Seattle, he had Pete Carroll as a head coach, Pete Carroll covered up a lot of mistakes by Russell Wilson by simplifying things, even though he didn't have to. He probably shouldn't have needed to, but he had to because of Russell Wilson. So if that's the case, and Sean Payton needs to simplify the playbook. What does that tell you about Russell Wilson? That tells me this guy is a mediocre quarterback. And I'm sorry, guys, if you disagree with me, but he hasn't proven to be any more than a mediocre quarterback. Yes, was it a great play great game last week, even though we lost 35-33, we came back, a Hail Mary. That was a lucky play. Should have been actually 35-23. Or, 35-24. But it wasn't. 35-27. Yeah, 35-27. But you know what? It wasn't. It was 35-33. It was a lucky play. But Russell Wilson, to me, is a mediocre quarterback. He hasn't proven in Denver that he can be that elite quarterback. And I'm starting to wonder if it's really true that Sean Payton cannot fix Russell Wilson. I'm just wondering. It's bothersome because, who are we going to end up? Who are we going to end up with as our backup? Our backup will be Stidham. Would I like to see Stidham come in? Hey, if we're getting blown out by Miami, put Stidham in there. I want to see what he can do. If it hurts Russell Wilson and his pride and his ego, I don't care. I really don't care. Because at this point in time, it's not about Russell Wilson. It's about winning games. And I don't want to tank. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't just throw in the towel. No, I want to win no matter what. Bronco fan, I want to win every game. Cubs fan, I want to win every game. Avalanche fan, I want to win every game. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter if we have a chance in God's green earth to win or not. I want to freaking win. Give it everything you have. Don't tank it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. So is it a Russell Wilson issue or is it a Sean Payton issue? At this point in time, I'm starting to think it's a Russell Wilson issue because he's not getting it up here. All right. Pablo says, let's go to Pablo. He says, if it does not work out with Russell Wilson this year, do the Broncos go with another quarterback next year? Wow. I'm not sure because I know that we cannot get out of Russell Wilson's contract until after, I believe it's after the 2024 season. So if that's the case, there will be changes. I'm not sure that they'll move on from Russell Wilson. I doubt it. There may be a lot more simplification of, of the play calling. I don't know what the issue would be. I know what the issue would be. It'd be he's not getting it, but I don't know what direction they would go. I doubt seriously that they would put somebody else in there. However, it could come down to preseason OTAs, how well Stidham does if he's still on the team, whether they draft a quarterback in the draft. That could be an option. I don't know. I'm assuming the Broncos are going to draft a quarterback. I'm assuming they're going to have to. They're going to have to. And who knows? Good question, though, Pablo. Really, really good question. That could be very, very true that Russell Wilson Broncos could take a hit. I mean, we all know that the Walton Penner Group can afford for him to walk and pay him what they signed him for. So I don't think the money is an issue. Obviously money's an issue, but I think it's more about the salary cap. I think that would be more the issue if they let Russell Wilson walk. But that's a road I really don't want to go down now because we're only 2 games in the season, heading into 3. But that's a very, very good question, Pablo. Thanks so much for asking. All right. User JK says Russ played a lot better against Washington, but the 2 turnovers. Absolutely. I mentioned it earlier in recapping the game. Russell Wilson should never have fumbled that ball. He should have thrown the ball out of bounds. He should have, he was outside the pocket, so it wouldn't have been intentional grounding. He should have thrown it out of bounds. Either that or just tuck the ball down and slide and give yourself up and lose a couple, 2 or 3 yards, whatever. But no, I understand there was a face mask that wasn't called. There was a lot of penalties that weren't called, including the 2-point conversion try that wasn't called for pass interference or holding. So referees blew this game. Referees, in my opinion, blew this game. Absolutely. Should Denver have been in that position? No. But when Denver was up 21-3 and Russell Wilson fumbles, to me, that was a turning point. That was a turning point because it gave the Commanders the ball at the 50-yard line. So, Russell Wilson played a lot better. The entire team played a lot better in the first half. If you missed any part of the show, go back to the very beginning where I talked about the loss against the Commanders, and I talk about the penalties. I talk about how we got off to a fast start. I talked about we Broncos don't seem to be able to be competitive for all 4 quarters. So go back and watch that if any of you guys missed that. All right. Okay. Let's get into next to the last topic before I get into the topic of the pregame against the Dolphins. This one I like a lot. And it's about time. I'm hoping this happens. Rod Smith, former Broncos Super Bowl champion wide receiver, headlines the list of former Broncos that have been nominated for the 2024 Pro Football Hall of Fame class. 4 other Broncos Super Bowl winners were also nominated. They are center Tom Nalen. Yes, absolutely. Guard Mark Schwereth, 100%. Yes. Defensive lineman Neil Smith, absolutely. And kicker Jason Elam. All 5 of those deserve to get in. They're not all going to get in at the same time. But how can you say anything against any one of the five? Rod Smith, absolutely. Rod Smith should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. Years ago. Rod Smith should have been in there. No doubt about it. Tom Nalen, the center for the Super Bowl champion Broncos back-to-back, absolutely. He was a phenomenal center. Boy, I'd like to have a Tom Nalen today, that's for sure. How about guard Mark Schwereth? Wouldn't you like to have a Mark Schwereth on the Broncos now? Oh, shoot, yeah. I'd love to have Rod Smith, Tom Nalen, Mark Schwereth, Neil Smith, and Jason Elam on the Broncos team right now. Absolutely. I guarantee you we would not be 0-2. With that team, no. With those guys, those five, we would not be 0-2. Guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. No doubt. Those guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know which one's going to go. I don't even know if any one of them's going to go. But it's about time the Broncos were recognized in the Hall of Fame for players that were synonymous and instrumental in going back-to-back in Super Bowl 32 and 33. It is an absolute travesty and a shame that Mike Shanahan is not in the Hall of Fame. He absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely, no doubt about it. There's only a handful that have been coaches that have won back-to-back Super Bowls. Only a handful. Do you know what the most famous one is? It's named after the trophy. Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi went back-to-back as a head coach that won Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II. Oh, he's in the Hall of Fame? His freaking Super Bowl trophy is named after him. The Vince Lombardi trophy. Mike Shanahan should be in there as well. Am I saying that Mike Shanahan's a Vince Lombardi? Yeah, in a way I am. Because they both went back-to-back. And they both did it in very, very difficult situations. Lombardi, the first two Super Bowls, absolutely. Mike Shanahan, he had to beat the Packers. They were 11-point underdog. The Broncos were 11-point underdog in Super Bowl 32. And the Broncos win it by 7. And then they go and play a former head coach of the Broncos, Dan Reeves, and beat him handily. Yeah. Am I saying that Mike Shanahan's the same class, the same acknowledgement as Vince Lombardi? Absolutely, I am. Go ahead, guys. You can disagree all you want, but I'm just talking about accomplishment, talking about back-to-back Super Bowls, talking about how hard it was to do that. Yes, Mike Shanahan did it, Vince Lombardi did it, and so have just a handful of other head coaches have done it. Why Mike Shanahan is not in the Hall of Fame is an absolute travesty, absolute disgrace and travesty. Okay, there are two more recent wide receivers were also nominated, from the Broncos, as well as an inside linebacker. Brandon Marshall, wide receiver, Wes Welker, wide receiver, and Al Wilson, inside linebacker. Now, of those three, which one do I think really should and deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Of those three, if it had to come down to that, I would say Al Wilson. Absolutely Al Wilson. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Brandon Marshall, yeah, he was good. Wes Welker, well, he played most of his time in New England, so he would probably go in as a Patriot. But I would say Al Wilson. So I would jump Al Wilson up into the upper five with Rod Smith, Tom Nalen, Mark Schwereth, Neil Smith, and Jason Elam. I would add Al Wilson to that. Absolutely. And then Marshall and Welker, well, they can try for it the following year. Who do I think will get in? Who do I think will get in for 2024? If it's not Dan Reeves, well, it should be Dan Reeves. I would say Dan Reeves and Rod Smith. Absolutely, Dan Reeves and Rod Smith. A very, very close second, I would say, would be Mark Schwereth. Mark Schwereth deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as well. Well, you already know the guys I named, so I'm not going to keep reiterating, but you know where I stand on that. Absolutely, those guys should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. All right, Jerry Wallace. Hey, Jerry, what's happening, my friend? Thanks for being in the house. Thanks for being in chat. They better fix that defense, or I think Vance Joseph will be gone. I hope he's gone. I'll tell you something right now, Jerry. I hope he's gone. He hasn't proved anything to me that he's worthy of staying on the team. And we have, I think his last name is Chandler or Christensen. I think it's Christensen. Is the assistant defensive coordinator. And they say this guy is sharp. They say he is really, really sharp. I'd like to see him get that position, to get that defensive coordinator and move up and get rid of Vance Joseph. Never should have hired Vance Joseph to begin with. Absolutely never should have. I mentioned earlier that they were looking at Rex Ryan. They're also looking at Vic Fangio. Both of them turned it down, and we ended up with Vance Joseph, which to me was a mistake. Absolutely huge mistake. Should never have gone there. Should never, ever, ever have gone there. I say get rid of him and go for Christian. Elevate Christensen. That's what I say. All right. User JK says Al Wilson, Jason Elam, Tom Nalen for the Hall of Fame for sure. Yes, I agree. You don't agree with Rod Smith? User JK, come on, man. You don't agree with Rod Smith? You got to be kidding me, right? Rod Smith, an undrafted. I think it was undrafted. Rod Smith. I think Rod Smith was undrafted. And in fact, Rod Smith was the very first touchdown pass that John Elway threw against the then Washington Redskins in Denver to win it in the, I believe it was in the last seconds of the game. So yeah, Rod Smith, again, Super Bowl 33, that huge play against Eugene Robinson. Come on, man. Rod Smith has been electric. Rod Smith deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I do agree with Al Wilson. I do agree with Jason Elam and Tom Nalen. But I can't overlook Rod Smith or Mark Schwereth. I mean, Mark Schwereth was amazing guard, a phenomenal guard. But hey, everyone's got their opinion, and I'm not going to hold that against you. I just, how about this? How about user JK? We can agree to disagree. I agree they should be there. I just don't agree they should be there in 2024. That's all I'm saying. All right. Jerry Wallace says, that's what I was thinking. Vance is junk. He is more than junk, dude. This guy is pathetic. He is absolutely pathetic. He was pathetic as a head coach. He's pathetic as a defensive coordinator. And if he continues to be our defensive coordinator, you can continually see the Broncos defense give up points, melt down, go into zone coverage, give up big yardage, have penalties, all the above, because Vance Joseph doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He is not a quality head coach. He's definitely not a quality defensive coordinator. All right, let's get into the last topic. I know, guys, you guys are all clapping and stuff. I understand. It's all good. It's a Friday, and hey, I get it. It's fine. Do me a favor, guys out there. If you have not done so, please do so. Subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends about the show. If you like the show, great. If you don't like the show, leave a comment. I'm open to anything and everything anybody says. It's all good, man. I take it with a grain of salt, and I appreciate everybody support and being in the chat. All right, last topic. Here we go. The preview against the Miami Dolphins. With the Dolphins sitting at 2-0 and Denver sitting at 0-2, what is it going to take to come out of the game with a win? 5 points I have that are very critical, in my opinion, that the Broncos need to do or not do to win this game. All right, before I get into that, I just don't want to pass this up. User JK says, yes, Rod Smith deserves to be there. Yes. Okay. He agrees with me. All right. Just clarifying that, user JK. I appreciate it. Let's see. Right before I get in this topic, Pablo Ramos noticed that I'm wearing my Cubs jersey. He says, Bill, do your Cubs ever win a World Series again? Sure. Absolutely, Pablo. They'll win it again. No problem. Just be 108 years. That's all I'm saying. Probably be another 108 years or who knows. But I'm just glad that I'm able to fly this flag back here that says World Series champions, and it happened in my lifetime. I've been a Cub fan. In case you don't know, I've been a Cub fan since 1973. I spent my 15th birthday in Wrigley Field. So obviously, you guys, you could add 1973 when I was 15, add that to or minus that, however you want to do it from the year that we're in now, 2023. And yes, my age is 65 years old. Anyways, I spent my 15th birthday in Wrigley Field. They've been my favorite baseball team ever since. They always will be. 2016 was a magical year for 2 reasons. One, The Denver Broncos won Super Bowl 50 in February of 2016, and the Chicago Cubs snapped the 108-year futility of not winning the World Series, and they won it in November of 2016. So the year 2016 is my favorite year because both or two out of the three of my favorite teams won it the very same year. They were bookends, February, November. Amazing, amazing year. I'll never forget that year. Ever, ever, ever forget that year. And then the icing on the cake was Super Bowl 50, Peyton Manning going out on top, just like John Elway did in Super Bowl 50 in just amazing fashion. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And that was, like I said, that was 2016. So it was awesome. Great, great year. Never forget it. Okay, here are the 5 key points that I think that the Broncos have to do in order to win this coming Sunday. Here it is. First and foremost, offensive line. Offensive line needs to protect Russell Wilson. They need to keep Russell Wilson upright. They need to keep the aggressive defensive front and Vic Fangio's defensive scheme away from Russell Wilson. They need to protect him like nobody's business. They need to protect him. They need to protect Russell Wilson more than they did against the Washington Commanders. Washington has a great front four as well. But with Vic Fangio dialing up schemes that I'm not even sure Sean Payton has seen, is going to cause problems. Offensive line has to be ready. Offensive line coach has to get these guys ready. That is first and foremost. Number 2, minimize stupid penalties. Absolutely. Minimize the stupid penalties. You cannot have helmet to helmet. You cannot have late hits on the quarterback. You cannot have holding penalties away from the ball. You can't do this. Think. Be smart. If these guys can't accomplish reducing the penalties, then the coaches are not coaching them correctly. The players are not getting it. This has to stop. We are not the freaking Vegas Raiders and previously Oakland Raiders. We are not that team. We do not make stupid penalties. Well, we have, but we need to stop. It needs to stop now. Use your head not to hit another helmet. Use your head to be smart, not stupid. Third thing, defense must get 3 and outs. Absolutely. The defense has to get off the field. Absolutely has to get off the field. No doubt about it. You cannot let Tuivasa sit back there and just pick off the defense. And heaven forbid we're in zone. We're going to get schooled. We're going to get drilled. We're going to get embarrassed. The defense has to force 3 and outs. We have to get pressure on the quarterback. Do I see that happening? I don't think so. I haven't seen a pass rush worth anything. I think my granddaughter could stand back there. My grandson could stand back there and not get hit. And they're 11-6. Well, my grandson's 11. My granddaughter's 6. That's how pathetic the Broncos pass rush has been. Is it because we don't have the players for the pass rush? I don't believe so. I think it is Vance Joseph just doesn't understand how to get a freaking pass rush. And when he blitzes, they burn us because they can see it coming. This defensive coordinator in Vance Joseph is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And if we don't get 3 and outs, we are going to be done. By halftime, this game is going to be way over. Way over. Number 4, no turnovers by Denver, period. No fumbles, no interceptions. Play smart. Take what the defense gives you. If the defense doesn't give you, long passes down the sidelines or crossing patterns in the middle, do the check down. Roll out. Run a little bit. Do what you have to do to stay on the freaking field. Do not give up turnovers. Do not give up turnovers. Now, Denver's defense needs to get turnovers. Sure, they do. That may not happen. But the Broncos can't give the Dolphins a short field. They cannot go all the way down the field, get right near the end zone or whatever, and fumble or interception or miss a field goal. Oh, God, that's another thing. Field goal kicker is pathetic too. He was good last week. I'll give him that. But he wasn't good against the Raiders when we needed that win. So we have to have no turnovers. Period. None. Zero. Zilch. No interceptions. No fumbles. Period. Number 5, last one. Slow down the Dolphins pass rush. Now that goes back to the offensive line. Yes, you got to slow down the Dolphins pass rush. That may mean bringing a fullback to pick up a blitzer or pick up a guy that's coming off the edge. You have to do that. Broncos may have to put in a fullback, may have to have Williams blocking, may have to bring in a tight end, another tight end. Well, I don't know who that's going to be because we already got Dulcich out and we don't have Okwuegbunam anymore. So I don't know who's it going to be. But anyways, you cannot allow that Dolphins pass rush to swarm Russell Wilson. Because if that happens, we are toast, guys. We are absolutely toast. No question about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's a done deal. Might as well mail it in. Speaking of mailing it in, I'm going to give you what I think the final score is going to be come Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, kickoff is going to be. Hang on, real quick. Pablo says, I said it was 108 years in 2016 that the Cubs won the World Series. I was so happy. So, and he said, do you think the Cubs will win another World Series? I said, absolutely. Probably another 108 years. Pablo says, 108 years? Wow. I'll be 152. Wow. Hey, Pablo, if you're around to be 152 years young, when the Cubs win it again, then hey, more power to you, man. More power to you, because I'll tell you what, that would be absolutely a miracle, to say the least. Hopefully, the Cubs will win it a lot sooner than 108 years. I'm hoping they'll win it here. I don't know, the next 4 or 5 years. They got a lot of young guys, and I'm really looking forward to them. I like that Crow Armstrong. I think that the kid's an absolute stud. Love the kid. Justin Steele, he's a great pitcher. Love these guys. So I don't know. I hope it's a lot sooner. Hope it is a lot sooner. All right. And now, user JK says, will the Rockies ever win the World Series? Well, the only way the Rockies are ever going to win the World Series is if they get rid of their ownership. The owner needs to sell the team. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry, escapes me. But if Stan Kroenke were to buy him, or if Walton Penner ownership group would be willing to buy the Rockies, then yeah, I think the Rockies absolutely would have a great chance to win the World Series. Why? Because the Walton Penner group, they're in it to win it. And they're in to win it with the Broncos. So they wouldn't have spent all that money renovating Empower Field and going all these great lengths of scoreboard and all this kind of stuff if they're not serious. And then that's the same with Stan Kroenke. Stan Kroenke won a Stanley Cup with the Avalanche. He owns the Avalanche. He won. I don't know. Does he own the Nuggets? I don't know if he owns the Nuggets or not. I think he does own the Nuggets. If he owns the Nuggets, well, there's another championship. And he owns the Los Angeles Rams. There's another championship. So, yeah, Stan Kroenke would be great if he owned the Rockies. I think it'd be phenomenal. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But, hey, you're asking me a question whether or not the Rockies will ever win a World Series. That's the only way I can see them winning the World Series if the ownership decide to sell and somebody like Stan Kroenke or a Walton Penner ownership group decide to buy them, and then they would definitely put the money into it to make them a winner. That's the only way I see that happening. Okay, going back to the last topic, what's the score that I see in the Broncos-Miami Dolphins game this coming Sunday, kicking off at 10 o'clock Pacific, 11 Mountain, 12 Central, 1 o'clock Eastern. Here's my prediction. Final score, 27-13 Miami. Sorry, guys. That's what I said. 27-13 Miami. Reason why is because the Broncos cannot play 4 quarters or haven't played 4 quarters. They may jump out to a 13-3 lead, 13-10 lead. I don't know. 13-7. Could be. They just haven't proven they can play 4 quarters. And with Justin Simmons out, That hurts. That hurts big time. I know we're getting Jerry Jeudy, and we had Jerry Jeudy. Now we got Cortland Sutton, we got Mims, and all that. But is the offensive line going to hold up for 4 quarters? I haven't seen that all year. Is the defense going to hold up for all 4 quarters? Haven't seen that all year. So the final score, in my opinion, hate to say it, Broncos look like they're going 0-3. It's going to be Miami 27, Denver 13. I hope I'm wrong. I absolutely hope I'm wrong. And guys, if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it, and I'll be gladly to say absolutely. That's what I would like. Okay, so before I wrap this up, I want to get to user JK says Stan Kroenke owns the Avalanche, the Nuggets, and the Rapids. Okay, so he owns the Avalanche and the Nuggets, but he also owns the LA Rams. So, but as far as Colorado, yeah, Avs, Nuggets, the Rapids. Wow. Well, he could own the Rockies. He could own the Rockies because he doesn't own a baseball team. So that'd be perfect. I'd love to see that. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think so. All right. Pablo Ramos says Dolphins 34, Broncos 21. Well, there you go. It's another 13-point swing. Again, I don't see anybody out there saying Broncos are going to win, and I really don't see it. Like I said, I hate to have to say it's going to be 27-13. My opinion, Pablo says 34-21. Either way, Denver loses. Doesn't look good, guys. Doesn't look good. That's a user JK says, but I don't watch him to own any more Colorado teams than I wanted Brittany Bolin to own the Broncos. I did too. I really wanted Brittany to own it. Although having the Walton Penner ownership group with that seemingly endless money pit, I'm glad to have that because they're willing to throw money left or right, and I think that's a good thing in a way because it shows that they really care. But I do like Brittany. I like Brittany Bolin. I really wanted to keep it in the Bolin family, but things change, things happen, things change, and I've come around to really, really appreciate and like the Walton Penner group. I think it's going to work out. I think they have the best interest in the Broncos and the city and Broncos country and the state. So I'm really glad that we do have the Walton Penner ownership group. I really do. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I would. User JK says I want him to own. I want him to own the Rockies. I agree. I want him to own the Rockies too. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think that the owner of the Rockies is going to sell, and I don't think he's going to sell to the Kroenkes. So I wish it would happen because the Rockies with the Rockies, if the Rockies were to be a powerhouse, you'd have the Rockies, the Avalanche, the Nuggets, and the Broncos. Holy smokes, man. You'd have a can't be trifecta. There's 4 of them. You would have a monopoly in championships in the state of Colorado, and that would absolutely be phenomenal. And you know what? There could be one on the horizon in the Colorado Buffaloes with Deion Sanders. It's going to be a tough game coming up this weekend against Oregon. They're heavy underdogs, but let's hope that the Colorado Buffaloes pull out a miracle and go 3-0 and send the entire state of Colorado on a frenzy when it comes to Colorado Buffaloes football. I think that'd be great. That'd be absolutely phenomenal. One last comment by Pablo says Trayvon Diggs from the Cowboys tore his ACL, is out for the season. I saw that. Absolutely saw that. That's horrific. I never like to see anybody, lose a career or a season due to injury like that. He's a great, phenomenal corner, and wish him all the best to come back. It's just another devastating injury right across the entire NFL. Absolutely across the entire NFL. Oh, Travis Johnson's in the house. Hey, Travis, nice to have you. Thanks for being in the chat. He says, I believe we in a defensive struggle, believe it or not, 1917. 1917 who? Miami or Denver? Because you said defensive struggle. I just don't know which side is 19 and which side 17. But the way you said it, I kind of want to lean that it's going to be Miami 1917. Okay, either or. I like to have Denver win any one of those scores. Absolutely any one of those scores. I just don't see it given what we've already seen the first 2 games and the meltdown when it comes to the second half. It's just it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the Broncos just cannot sustain 4 quarters. What they've done the first 2 quarters. It's just a shame. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you have not, please do so. I greatly appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the like button. Tell your friends, your family, your enemies, your coworkers, your pets, anybody out there. Put it on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, whatever you want. Tell all your friends out there. Really, really do appreciate you guys being in the chat. As always, watching the show. Appreciate it. I know it's a Friday. I know it's right up against your weekend. You're out doing things. I appreciate you guys taking the time to stop in and give up an hour, and in this case, an hour and 11 minutes of your time. Really appreciate it. Okay, the shows, the shows, guys. We're Monday through Friday. We also do the neighborhood on Sunday. Real quickly, Monday is the Cluster Puck. Tuesday is the 5280, followed by the No Nonsense Whiskey. Wednesday is the Wild Wild West, followed by I forget. I'm forgetting these shows, man. Anyway, so you got that on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you have not No Nonsense Whiskey. You have news, Orange or Brews, Orange or Brews. And then on Friday, this show brought to you by me, Bronco Bill, Broncos Breakdown, live every Friday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then on Sunday, this coming Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, we have the Broncos Neighborhood with myself and Madungus Creepy live. And it's a neighborhood chat. We welcome everybody in the chat, and we talk about all kinds of things. You never know what you're going to get. All right, guys. So until this Sunday, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend. Let's go Broncos. Let's get an upset in Miami this Sunday. Till then, guys, take care. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.